They're beginning to walk in. Stand by for a start. They're off for the Betfair Chase, and Bristol De Mai jumps off in front from his stablemate Ballyoptic on the near side. Frodon tracks them at the first of the 19 scheduled fences, and Lostintranslation held up last of the quartet, Robbie Power in the yellow silks. So they got two circuits of the chase course ahead of them. The long run now to the first over on the far side, and Bristol De Mai has his grey head in front into the paddock turn. To Ballyoptic, Frodon close up on that one's inner, and Lostintranslation doesn't really want any part of the early gallop and is restrained 3 or 4 lengths off his 3 rivals. Continue on this lengthy gallop to the first of the line of 5 fences taken across in the Haydock back straight. Bristol De Mai with Ballyoptic right on his tail and Frodon within a half length, and there's small break to Lostintranslation. A gentle descent will take them into the wings of the second. Bristol De Mai jumping prodigiously, really winged that. Just half lengthing Ballyoptic. Frodon on the near side racing with his customary enthusiasm, and then Lostintranslation. On to the third they go. Bristol De Mai. Frodon jumping into second there past Ballyoptic. Lostintranslation continues at the back of the field, held up in the still very, very early stages. They're only approaching fence 4. Completed just over half a mile. Ballyoptic a little more cautious than his 3 rivals there, behind Bristol De Mai and Frodon. Another plain fence before the first of the ditches. Bristol De Mai pricks his ears, sees a stride, and again jumps really well, soars out over it. The other 3 jumping soundly in behind. Frodon slipstreaming Bristol De Mai. Ballyoptic wider out, and then Lostintranslation. Over the ditch they go. All neat enough there. So that's the jumping in the back straight done for the first time. Into the next bend. Bristol De Mai and Daryl Jacob leading Frodon by a couple of lengths. Frodon, the 11-time chase winner. Their winners between them of 26 of their 66 starts over fences. Very much in form Ballyoptic, the hat-trick seeker in third, and Lostintranslation still looking on from last place as they enter the final 2 miles and now close in on fence 7. Now Bristol De Mai in front from the moment starter Seamus O'Neill dropped the flag. Gain jumps really well, but matched by the other 3. Lostintranslation giving it plenty of daylight in 4th place. Another open ditch now. Bristol De Mai from Frodon, Ballyoptic on the left, and Lostintranslation halfway up the straight and heading towards the end of a circuit. So Bristol De Mai just lobbing along in front. Bryony Frost seemingly quite happy to take a lead on Frodon. Ballyoptic hops over in third, just ahead of Lostintranslation, who lobs along in last place. So now on to fence 10, about to pass through the halfway point of the Betfair Chase. Bristol De Mai from Frodon, Ballyoptic and Lostintranslation. And no major alarms so far. They've got 1 more circuit to cover and a further 9 fences to jump. In the 15th running of this Grade 1 prize, Bristol De Mai defending his unbeaten Merseyside record, leading Frodon and Ballyoptic closing up, and you sense that Jacob is just getting a breather into Bristol De Mai as they swing away towards the back straight once more. Power, meanwhile, sits very quietly and very patiently in 4th place aboard Lostintranslation. So once again, they'll freewheel on the descent to the first of the fences down the back. The 11th of the 19 coming up to them. Bristol De Mai with his stablemate Ballyoptic racing on the far side of Frodon, and Lostintranslation right behind them in third. Bristol De Mai set alight, jumped that really well. Ballyoptic not quite as quick through the air as Frodon, but they race side by side. Lostintranslation only a couple of lengths away, heading towards fence 12. Bristol De Mai just had to put himself right there. He's just a little awkward. There was a good jump from Lostintranslation, jumping almost up in behind him, going towards the middle one in the back straight. Bristol De Mai with a mile to travel in the Betfair Chase. He was a little quicker than Frodon there. That was a much more assured leap once again from Bristol De Mai. Ballyoptic is still right there on the far side, and Lost in Translation yet to be popped the question. And they're going to 6 out. Bristol De Mai big and bold. From Frodon waiting in the wings. White cap for Bryony Frost. Ballyoptic and Sam Twiston Davies on the outer, and then Lost in Translation, and here's an open ditch. Bristol De Mai. It's just anything over bold. Pitch slightly on landing, but quickly back on an even keel. And into the far corner they go with 3/4 of a mile to travel and the final 4 fences to jump in the straight. Jacob glancing in behind. He looks left and he looks right aboard Bristol De Mai. Ballyoptic is the first one to be squeezed along. Frost now just beginning to hunt away on Frodon. Nursing a regular partner along, still holding second. Lost in Translation. Yellow Jacket now beginning to make his headway on the far side. Entering the last half mile. Bristol De Mai. Frodon ridden along. Lost in Translation waiting to pounce. Ballyoptic outpaced. Bristol De Mai a soaring leap out over the 4th last. He led by a couple of lengths. Lost in Translation though now beginning to hunt him down. Frodon is hanging on in there in 3rd. And here's the open ditch. They're 3 from home in the Betfair Chase. Bristol De Mai Lost in Translation on the rights come there, travelling strongly. Jacob now shakes up the grey for the first time. Frodon back in 3rd, and then Ballyoptic. The 2nd last coming up. Bristol De Mai. Lost in Translation a half length down, parted the birch, ridden for the first time. Bristol De Mai galloping on strongly on the near side. The final fence in the Betfair Chase coming up. Bristol De Mai and Lost in Translation could go either way. In the air together, come away from it together. Lost in Translation with momentum. Bristol De Mai fighting on tenaciously, but it's Lost in Translation in front halfway up the run-in. Try as he might, Bristol De Mai can't get back to him. Super powered, Lost in Translation wins the Betfair Chase. Bristol De Mai went down fighting in 2nd, Frodon in 3rd, and then Ballyoptic.
Lost in Translation is won the Betfair Chase, an absolutely cracking race. Bristol De Mai has went down in the sword. Well done, cool ride.
Yeah, no, look, he's just a very, very good horse, and we've always thought an awful lot of him, and that's his first time today in the Big Boys League, and it's just effortless to him, you know. He jumps so well, he travels so easy over that trip. I've actually got there way too soon. I've taken on a stayer way too soon, and I thought for a few strides turning in I wasn't going that well, but when I've given him a squeeze, he's come alive underneath me, and he's winged 4 out and 3 out, and I've ended up getting into a battle with Bristol De Mai, which is I didn't want. But he's just proven to us today he's a dour stayer as well. I
love him in the pre-ring, love him walking around the start, and big long rein early. He's just so relaxed, he gives himself every chance.
Yeah, you do. Look, he's just love everything about the horse, you know, the way he jumps, travels. He's just a very, very good horse.
And only 4 horses, but a cracking horse race, and Bristol De Mai's put it up to you and made that race.
You don't need big feet, big numbers to have good races, and Bristol De Mai has won this the last twice. Frodon has won the Ryanair. Ballyoptic won the Charlie Hall, and my lad was a top-class novice, so it doesn't take big fears to make good races.
Entitled towards the 2nd last, us watching momentarily come off the bridle, were you still happy?
Yeah, I was. I knew going to the last I wanted to jump, and I didn't get it. I got in very tight to the last, but he's so quick when he gets in tight. He still got away in front, and no, it was a great performance.
I loved it when you hit the front. He's pricked his ears. He's just a dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He loves the attention and takes everything in his stride.
The real deal.
Hopefully so.
Well done.
Cheers, thank you.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.